In this video, I removed the timing components and the heads from my WRX engine, and I show you a mistake I made along the way. So here is my FA20 DIT, and I need to take the heads off, but this has something unlike other engines I've worked on. It has the block, the head, and something called the cam carrier. In other engines I've worked on, the cam was attached to the head using some caps, but this whole thing carries the cam. It's called the cam carrier, and it's attached to the head, and there is a sealing surface between it and the head, so you can also get leaks between the head and the cam carrier. That is new to me, and this oil line here is something that I have not taken off yet. So I'm going to take that off, and then I'm going to have to set the engine up for disassembly, i.e. set the timing, and we'll go from there. So this feed line starts up here, goes to this cap, works its way down, and goes in here. So I think this part goes to the turbo. So I need to take off these lines to make my job a little easier. And this is a 17 M&M. And that little washer broke. I like that they connect them. This one is mounted here and here. And this is going to live right here until it gets reassembled. And this pipe is also connected to it. And yeah, now that everything's off, you can see how much oil was leaking from over here. This is the other side, and there are these tabs over here that I can squeeze and push this blue thing up, and that should release this. And now this whole line can be set aside. And I only want to take off the stuff that is necessary, so I'm going to leave the injectors on and take off this line because it does connect the head to the cam carrier. Indirectly, kind of, but you catch my drift. So now I have to rotate the camshafts such that this arrow and that arrow are lined up on both the left side and the right side. But I noticed something on the other side. Look at this. I think that is RTV from an install. I don't know what install, but yeah, that's RTV. So I need to rotate the engine, and there is something called a crank socket or crankshaft socket that fits right over this with the slot for the Woodruff key, but I don't have one, and I could order one, but I also put this back on. This is what was between the crankshaft and the crank pulley. Put that on, and I can put the crankshaft on, and it has a little hole for the dowel, and I can rotate this like a steering wheel. So let's see if I can line everything up. So now this side is lined up, and so is this one. So now let's take this off. Yeah, so it says press this down, but I am going to say it is pretty hard to press. What am I missing? All right, this is not moving as easily as the manual says. It just says press down, and it is not. This may be ill-advised, but I'm not having trouble putting it in. Again, if you know more about this engine than me, let me know. But I'm going to take this out and see if I cause any issues. So when this is up, I did not see this spelled out in the manual. Maybe I just glanced over it. With this up, it can go down. And then when it goes like this, that locks it. So I'll leave it like that. So now this should be free. First time taking off a timing chain. So this is just a hinge, and it provides tension and keeps the chain tight like that. Let me put this back in. All right, let's see if I can use what I've learned on the other one to get this one off. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing I did last time. And in a second, you're gonna see where I messed up. What did I do wrong? Well, there was a method to remove these without these being pulled into this orientation, but after consulting the manual, I can reset them when I put everything back together. But that was not the way to do this. The correct way to do it would have been to rotate the cams another 25 degrees. That would have taken pressure off of them so that when I removed the tensioner and the chain, they wouldn't have wanted to snap into some other position. But this chain is coming off. There's also a risk that the valves hit the pistons, but I can check that when the head's off. All right, let's see if I can line everything back up. As it turns out, only the upper cam had any force on it. So once I repositioned it, I was good to go. Oh, I think I got it. I then rotated the crank to be in the proper position as well. So even though I didn't do it the way the manual said, I've now set this, and this to the positions that will allow me to reinstall the chain according to the manual. I'm gonna take off these guides, the 5mm hex. Now, the manual says remove these cam sprockets before taking the cam carrier out. But looking at it, I don't see why I need to do that because I want to disturb the least amount of stuff in this endeavor. So, unlike with the chain, I'm going to consciously not do what the manual says. I really think I'll be all right. But there is an order for removing the bolts. The manual says to loosen them in a particular order and bit by bit. And I just checked, and all these bolts are the same length. I'm just going to take them out. Oh, no. There's a spot right here. I'm going to see if I can pry this thing free. Oh, man. Whatever they used on this, even though it's leaking, it's strong. Yeah, you can see where it leaked. And because it's fun, I'm gonna take off some of the big pieces of RTV right now. I'm gonna take off these rockers. At this point, I'm gonna take off the head. And there is an order of loosening the bolts bit by bit. And I'm using a 12.14mm socket. These are on pretty tight. It took a bit of force, but after I got the first crack, the subsequent turns were a lot easier. All right, it looks like it'll come right up. So now I'm gonna do it on the left-hand side. Start with the cam carrier, work my way down to the head. I followed the same process as the other side. Removing the cam carrier and the rockers. And there are these little things on the top of the valves. I'm not gonna remove them, I'm just gonna leave them there for now anyway. And then I did the same thing on this side that I did on the other to get the head off. And I immediately noticed that this head gasket was different than the one from the other side. I don't know if it was the copper spray or a different head gasket, but it didn't look the same. This was the cylinder with all the issues. Let's see if we see anything crazy. And yep, there is definite ridge right here. I mean, I can feel it with my hand. So it's supposed to be smooth. And this one spot right here, yeah, this one does not have it. So even though I did not run any compression tests or leak down tests, this ridge right here would have made itself known had I done it. And if you look at the ones on this side, they look fantastic. You can still see the crossed hatching. Let's see if they pass the finger test. This is very crude, but on the other one I could definitely feel a ridge. Not on that one. Oh no, and not on this one. This one looks fantastic. Well, I found the issue. This is the common failure on these engines, so I really wasn't surprised. But it was kind of fun to tear it down and actually see the problem in person for the first time. And I'm not too concerned about damaged valves because of my disassembly snafu, because I'm doing the valve stem seals anyway. And if I notice a bent valve, I can replace it then. So needless to say, I have a lot of parts on order. In the meantime, I'll do a bit of cleaning and tackle some other projects. If you'd like to follow along, hit subscribe. If you'd like to see how I got to this point with this WRX, check out the playlist. Thanks for watching. Take care.